Citrus fruits, for example, will literally pull minerals out of your teeth.
So citrus fruits, what else is detrimental?
Citrus fruits, actually spinach.
Oh no, I love spinach.
I know, but have you ever felt your teeth after you've eaten spinach? The oxalic acid in spinach and in rhubarb, there's a lot of oxalic acid that literally melts the outside of your teeth.
Oh, man.
And now, you don't get scared because you don't have to give up the things you love. All you have to do is package them. You eat them as part of a meal, and you end the meal with something that is tooth protective.
So what would an example of that be?
Things that are tooth protective are alkaline foods, and alkaline foods, for example, usually dairy. Dairy is alkaline. You could end with some chicken broth if you really wanted to. But interestingly, things like chocolate, good chocolate, it alkalizes your mouth.
Does it have to be dark chocolate or milk?
Dark chocolate is better because there's less sugar in it, but okay. it will alkalize your mouth.
So chocolate at the end of every meal is good for your teeth?
Is not nearly as bad as you think. It would be much worse to end every meal with a suck of lemon, which actually I had a patient who did that. She was from Turkey, and a Turkish custom is to end and begin the meal by sucking lemons. And she had actually had root canals on all her lower teeth and crowns. She believed she had soft teeth. She was gradually, she was a 22-year-old, wearing out all her teeth with this misconception in one day. Now she has the lemons and then ends the meal. The other most effective thing of all is a sugar called xylitol. And xylitol is a sugar from birch trees that if you get a 1-pound bag of xylitol and end every meal with a tiny little bit of xylitol, you could put the end of your teaspoon in this 1-pound granular bag of xylitol and have like a tiny little bit. And if you took pH testing paper, you could measure the change in your mouth and see it is completely alkaline.
Wow. Do you need to swallow it, or could you simply just mix it in a rinse and rinse it around your mouth?
You could swish around and spit it out, but I suggest you swallow it because it's actually a prebiotic. It helps bacteria, the good kind, grow. It helps your mouth become alkaline and safe and healthy. And it actually helps your digestive system. If you know anyone with Crohn's or GI problems, you know that a lot of people have irritable bowel syndrome, those kind of things. Tiny bit of xylitol at the end of every meal will help you. It's amazing.
Now, where could one purchase xylitol?
Any health food store. Here in Austin, you've got Whole Foods. You'd be able to go and get a 1-pound bag in the baking aisle. It's diabetic. It's a diabetic safe. It's about $10 for 1 pound.
As opposed to the 50 cents per pound of regular granulated sugar.
And you just need it at the end of a meal. It's so tooth protective. Another food would be nuts. You could eat salty nuts, which are alkaline, almonds, celery, something like celery or fresh vegetables. It's very interesting.
So celery is good for teeth, but spinach is bad.
Yeah, because of the oxalic acid in spinach. So foods become confusing, and that's why I teach people to use xylitol. It's just easier that way. I don't have to start going through, this is a good fruit and that is a bad fruit. Raspberries actually are good. They contain xylitol. Strawberries are good. They will actually whiten your teeth.
Now, you've written a book about this concept.
That's correct.
Tell us about the book. It's called Kiss Your Dentist Goodbye.
That's correct.
And it sounds like, in someone who's in dentistry, it sounds like a very scary proposition for the dental industry.
I had tried to reach the dental profession. I wrote it. My first book was actually called The Power of Xylitol, and it was teaching dentists this thing that if you eat a little xylitol at the end of every meal, many good things will happen in your mouth.
Now I have to ask, do you have an investment in xylitol?
Well, I do now because I couldn't find xylitol 20 years ago. It was only in Europe.
Okay.
And this was something I brought to help people. I married a chef and we have a restaurant.
Oh, wonderful.
And so all the employees in our restaurant have been nibbling on xylitol because they snack all day long for the past 15 plus years, and they all have the most beautiful teeth that you can imagine.
Wow.
So yes, I do have a vested interest in it, but I do have this interest mainly because I tried. I was the first person to bring cappuccino to upstate New York. My husband's restaurant didn't have a cappuccino machine when I first met him. They'd never heard of cappuccino. And coming from Europe, it's like, where's the cappuccino?
So this is pre-Starbucks we're talking about.
Pre-Starbucks. And then, the next question was, where's the xylitol? And so I brought that over. But my main passion is helping people enjoy oral health and learn the truth. This is a bacterial disease. This is a disease of bacteria, and you transfer the bacteria when you kiss people.
Now, when you talk about disease, are you talking about dental decay?
I'm talking about cavities and also gum disease.
Okay, so cavities are a disease.
Cavities are caused by a cavity-forming bacteria. And this cavity-forming bacteria, when you kiss somebody, you have the potential to pick up these cavity bacteria and all of a sudden start developing cavities.
Now can you tell me how a cavity is formed? What the basic process is?
The basic process is that, first of all, you need these nasty little cavity bacteria to infect a film that covers your teeth. And the film in health is very thin. If it gets infected, because your mouth is more acidic, and this is where acidity comes in. This is why we keep trying to make your mouth non-acidic. But suppose you've just eaten some spinach. You're now devoid of your mouth's acidic. You kiss somebody by mistake who has cavity bacteria. You can become infected. And these cavity bacteria, every time you eat or drink, anything virtually, are going to start multiplying and growing. And they are sticky. And as they grow and multiply, they almost look like spiders. They put out these tendrils, and they group together in layers. And this is what makes them so dangerous, because they not only stick to your teeth, but they stick to each other. And as they thicken, the inside ones can no longer get oxygen, so they become anaerobic. They change. They become, instead of little round spheres, they kind of become wormy shape. And these are the things that produce so much acidity right on the surface of your tooth, because they're the ones at the inside, stuck on the inside right next to your tooth, and their buddies have all piled on top. These are the ones that produce so much acidity, they will melt the outside crystals of your tooth.
Now, do they eat sugar on your tooth? I've heard that sugar is bad for teeth, and because the bacteria eat it, and then that's what
they absorb the sugar, and the sugar then gives them fuel to grow and multiply. And as they grow and multiply, the byproduct is acids, because they love acidity. They bathe themselves in acidity. That's why they'll grow in an acidic mouth. So the acidity is the stuff that's actually melting your outside layer of your tooth. And then they channel down the little holes that open up. And these bacteria basically working their way along the little holes into your teeth, almost like worms down a hole in wood. I don't know if any of you are old enough to see woodworms, but we used to get them in England in the wood, where you have a hole and the worm actually travels down the hole. And that's what's happening in your teeth. Now, fluoride has no effect whatsoever on that process.
So what does brushing do in this process?
It would simply remove this film, this sticky film, the plaque, as you call it, the white foamy stuff.
The plaque, is that the germs?
That's the germs that have multiplied up into a big, thick layer, visible layer. At that stage, you're really in trouble.
So once you get the germs on your teeth and you brush them off, that's what the purpose of brushing is.
That's what the supposed purpose of brushing is. However, if you think about it, they're now in your toothbrush. They can still propagate and develop on your toothbrush. You're not really able to remove all of them, because think about it. If your finger was infected and I gave you a toothbrush, you might brush some of the bacteria off, but the chances are you'll still leave bacteria. I prefer to use a more advanced technique for getting rid of these germs. And xylitol, the sugar we talked about, it's a sugar from birch trees. It's a natural product that comes out of birch trees, a bit like maple sugar comes from maple trees. It's sweet, it's delicious, and these bacteria actually absorb it as if it were sugar. But its molecule is a little bit different. So as soon as they've absorbed it, they actually can't use it. They're stuck. And then they go like, hey, we don't want this in here. And they use up all their energy trying to expel it. And they can no longer stick to each other because they have no energy to stick together. They can no longer reproduce and form thick plaque. And they can no longer stick to your teeth.
So with regular sugar, that gets in our mouth. Let's assume we have cavity-causing bacteria in there. They eat the sugar. They like that. That produces acid, which creates an environment that the bacteria like. They reproduce more. Then they get piled on our teeth, and that's when they go through anaerobic respiration. And during that process, they create a byproduct which destroys our teeth.
And actually your gums as well. I mean, they're the things that make your gums bleed as well, the anaerobes.
So that's our regular sugar.
Yeah.
With xylitol, which is this natural sugar from birch trees, you're saying when they absorb it, they at first like it, but then realize they can't use it.
Correct.
And then expend all their energy trying to get rid of it, and as a result they become detached from the tooth, or do they die?
Basically slippery. I mean, your plaque becomes slippery, so it will just fall off your teeth. The U.S. military have used this since 2001 in the war zones in Iraq and Afghanistan where they can't clean their teeth.
Really?
Every meal that they have contains 2 pieces of chewing gum coated with a gram of this sugar on the outside, so that they eat this at the end of the meal. It's tooth protective. At the end of whatever they chose to eat for lunch, or they could drink a soda, doesn't matter as far as their teeth are concerned. I'm not endorsing soda, but whatever you choose to eat or drink, even lemonade, which is damaging to teeth, drink it. And then eat the xylitol, and it will wash away the damage.
The U.S. government knows about
Absolutely.
this and is using it in the military very effectively, where they can't brush their teeth, get them toothpaste, get them toothbrushes, what have you. But the American Dental Association has not shared this with the American people.
Well, this is what made me so angry.
This
is why when I went to this conference at the National Institute of Health in 2001 was really a watershed place, because they were describing the uselessness of many of the methods that are endorsed, like fluoride supplements for children. I mean, they were saying there is no reason to, this doesn't show, there is no evidence-based research to support giving children supplements. They were saying that the strong gels that children have on their teeth shouldn't be used. And yet they were endorsing xylitol. It's evidence-based research. I mean, it is proven that it eradicates 98% of plaque bacteria in 6 months. Just that little tiny bit. The cost would be about, that 1 pound bag at Whole Foods would last you 3 months. So about $4 a month, $3 a month to eradicate this disease completely.
Now, so tell me about this National Institute of Health conference, and you're saying they said some techniques that are accepted are not useful, yet they were not discussing xylitol.
Right, and even after that, the Surgeon General, his name is Richard Carmona, and he wrote in 2003 the fact that this knowledge needs to get out to the public, and still nothing happened. And when I wrote my book, I actually sent it to him, because in my book, I am simply telling the public the truth about teeth. What we really need to do is eradicate this disease by giving people this education and provide xylitol. We're talking about, I'm saying $3 a month at Whole Foods. If we got the government getting this product for the public, or do we really need to provide people with this? I think some information would simply be enough from the American Dental Association. I don't think the government needs to provide us with anything, but they know something that's helpful. Them not mentioning it, or government agencies not mentioning it, I think is detrimental. Like the Center for Disease Control. That's a government agency. They should be telling us this. I agree, and I actually went to the earlier last year. I went to Washington to the Institute of Medicine to a conference where we were talking to the administration about what should happen, and I actually asked to speak simply on behalf of the public. I didn't speak as a dentist. I went as an educated member of the public to request on behalf of the public that we be given somewhere the truth, so that the public at large can learn what is the truth about how we should look after our oral health. Because it is killing people to have disease in their mouth. Babies are born prematurely if a mother has gum disease. There is a straight line graph you can connect completely between gum disease and preterm birth and all the dangers of the baby being born prematurely. Coronary heart disease. If you're at risk for heart attack and you have gum disease, you're going to die. Most likely because the gum disease will inflame your heart, and then the plaque will lodge and you will die.